Salute and respect to all of you out there. Praise and glory to the Most High. Another Sunday, and it's my turn to burn. Call me by Nortey by nature. Program is Ultimate Health, your ultimate guide to healthy living. Listen every Sunday, 2:05, for the cause and not the applause. If it impacts on your health and your well-being, we'll talk about it. Take some praise. Eternal, the only one. B, you clearly see I'm all you need. Oh, eternal. And with that, you know it's time for Ultimate Health on Joy 99.7 FM. With me, Nortey by nature. Gosh, I've got him back. The Registrar of the Medical Dental Council, Dr. Divine Benyubala. Reflecting on 50 years of medical regulation in the country, Ghana. They regulate the practice of medicine and dentistry in our country. About 3-4 weeks ago, maybe 5 weeks ago, we had him in the studio. We started looking at all he does to keep you safe, healthy, and to make sure the practitioners of medicine and dentistry, including physician assistants, are in tip-top shape and regulated. Training, practice, a touch on facilities. And we're back today to reflect on 50 years. They are celebrating 50 years at the MDC. Get it right. MDC, Medical and Dental Council. Doc, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nortey Dua.
Yeah.
Always a wonderful thing to be with you and reflecting on critical issues affecting our collective health and well-being.
Yeah.
And I think it's an important public interest duty you are doing for us, not just only Ghanaians, but all persons living and accessing health in Ghana.
That's right.
We are grateful to you.
Right. And you know we're live on Facebook YouTube, and we are across the globe. So yes, it's a Ghana matter, but it's a global matter. And the MDC strives to meet and attain global standards. And that's what we've been looking at. So if you have any questions, concerns, the last time we had him, a couple of you wanted to know if you think a doctor has performed in an unprofessional manner, done something substandard, something that has bothered you. If you have questions about training of medical personnel, many of those things, we'll be talking about them. And Doc, it's great to have you back, and we'll be touching on some of the things you're doing as part of the anniversary. But the last time you were here, one of the key things you underscored was that you needed feedback from the public. You wanted to know what they think. Apart from the policy papers and other things, you want to hear from the end users.
That is important because, Nortey, as a public interest regulator, we are also accountable for our regulatory actions and policy options. And therefore, haven't, attained the golden age of 50, we think that it is an appropriate stage in our lives as a professional regulator that we pause. We then listen to our critical stakeholders, get their reflective, considerate feedback on how we have been doing our work in the past, currently how we are doing it, and hopefully we'll be guided by the collective wisdom on how to chart the path of guiding our professionals in the future.
Right. One of the things people say when they hear medical and dental counsel is that by all means you will seek, emphasize, and be biased towards the interest of the practitioners, your kith and kin, the doctors. Anytime there's an issue, you're more likely to bang the gavel in favor of the practitioners. Can we dispel that or address or speak to that before we move to the
We will do that,
issues?
Absolutely. In fact, it's one of the issues that we always try to assure the public, because at core of what we do is to advance public confidence and trust in the medical and dental professions. And therefore, it's important to recognize that in our regulatory arrangements, we have a carefully set up process. We are a quasi-judicial body, an administrative body, and an inquirer of facts. Now, because medicine and dentistry are highly specialized scientific disciplines, what comes across ordinarily to a layperson used advisedly in the context may not actually be borne out by the facts. So anytime we have a complaint, and it's one, in fact, if you just seek opinion even from counsel who have appeared with their clients before our disciplinary processes, do speak to the transparency and fairness of the process. We have a two-stage process to actually ensure that we guarantee fairness in the matter. So the first process is a preliminary committee we call the Penal Cases Committee, who then looks at the complaint, all the relevant documents that may be attached or related to the complaint. Then by the rules, we are required not to take any party by surprise, to furnish the practitioner with those specific allegations. The practitioner then gets an opportunity to respond to each of the matters that are in issue. Then the first level committee then considers that, made up of highly, professional persons, both lay and medical and dental.
Lay persons on
they are
the
lay
panel.
persons on each stage of the process. So the duty of the first committee is to look on the facts, just on the face of the facts, whether a prima facie case has been made out against the practitioner, and nothing more. Once they reach that determination, they make a referral. Now, under the rules, apart from the chairman of the Penal Cases Committee, who can then be a member, all the other persons are not members of the disciplinary committee, where the full inquiry into the facts scientific, medical, authentic facts
Okay.
relative to the subject matter are inquired into. And there too, we have laypersons,
Okay.
senior attorneys from the Attorney General's department on it. We also, and these laypersons actually are very senior,
Right.
respected men and women in our country.
Okay.
And is then the council itself has its solicitor,
Right.
who will then, quote unquote, for
So that
you
is,
want to
that is your
prosecute-
equivalent of the
Yes.
Attorney General for the
exactly
MDC.
for the MDC.
Right.
So now it becomes the MDC's matter. In fact, MDC and the complainant then are on one side.
Okay.
Now to prosecute successfully before the committee, its own committee, and the practitioners, most of them, in fact, they have the opportunity to get legal counsel,
To come with
and
it.
most of them come.
Right.
And so there are matters that will be tested, and they will be their reliability will be tested through cross-examination
Okay.
on all the parties, and whatever decisions are made, then the committee then determine based upon the facts.
Okay.
So it's quite a thorough and
quite
fair
thorough.
process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, listeners, I hope you got that. Some questions coming in. Hello, MDC. Why is Obingfo Hospital still operating? Can you update us on the status of that case? Settle in East Legon. We'll get to that in a second. 'Cause
Absolutely.
We always get our hands and fingers tied when we go into that specific case. And my good friend and I, we like to talk of the general stuff, and then when needed, we get specific. But we'll come to that.
Yeah,
case.
we'll come to it.
Yeah,
We'll
okay.
address it.
There's a
Yeah.
difference between the facility
and
the practitioner.
Yeah.
Okay. Am I right, sir?
Absolutely.
Okay. And most of you may not know. I mentioned it the last time I had him here. He's a lawyer. He's a medical doctor. He's an ethicist. And I do believe he did a touch of philosophy as well somewhere along the line. Or
A
am I
heavy dose of it.
a heavy dose of philosophy. So he's in the seat, and he's got the right six packs, if I can say that. If you've just joined us, this is Ultimate Health on Joy 99.7 FM with me, Nortey by nature. I'm with Dr. Divine Benyubala. He's the registrar of the Medical and Dental Council here in our country, Ghana. They are celebrating 50 years of medical regulation, and they are reflecting on every aspect of their mandate, their jurisdiction, and their function. And they are seeking feedback from you, the end users of everything they do. And that's why we're having this. We'll probably, if we're lucky, fingers crossed, have him next week as well. They have a big conference coming up. We'll talk about that in a bit. But essentially, we're going through some of the things they do. And we had some questions about malpractice and so on and so forth. Indeed, years back, I did a full program with him on medical malpractice, the legal constructs and the actual things. And it's a very interesting topic we'll get into. So having said that, can we just quickly touch on, so if somebody has a complaint with somebody duly registered by the Medical and Dental Council, not just a nurse or anybody in a health facility, but somebody under your jurisdiction, how do they file that complaint?
Okay. So we have a form which is accessible electronically, but they can just write.
Okay. Your website,
www.mdcghana.org. Yes.
Right.
Once you go onto the web, the website, we have under its services, and there are a series of forms that one can download.
All right.
But for complaints, in fact, you don't, because we know that a large number of us may not necessarily be educated in the Western way. We also have practitioners. You can actually walk in.
Okay.
To tell us that
to your premises,
to our premises,
all right.
any.
Okay.
The head office, as you know, is Najabin.
Right.
We have just opened an additional office in Koforidua.
Okay.
Located at the Regional Health Directorate.
Okay.
To make sure that with our whole concept of expanded access to the general public and also to practitioners that we regulate. And we have another zonal office in Takoradi.
Okay.
And we have a zonal office in Kumasi, Adum. We share it with the Ghana Medical Association.
Okay.
Then we have another one, 7, the northern sector, which is located at the Regional Health Directorate in Tamale.
Great.
Yes.
Okay.
So those are the critical, access points that we have to ensure that people are able to reach us. So once you can walk into any of those offices, or you reach us by phone, and we'll make arrangements. If you are not able to write your complaint yourself, we have officers who will assist you, listen to you in the local dialect that you are comfortable with, and then translate that. Because the rules require that somebody may make the complaint. Now, if you make the complaint,
So
unfortunately,
you require a complainant.
not in all cases.
Okay,
So in the
right.
first instance, we need a complainant.
Okay.
If we have an identified complainant, there's another little head which we hope to remove as we have new rules.
Okay.
That hurdle is that if you are not a public servant,
Okay.
then you require a statutory declaration
Okay.
to back your complaint, just to ensure that it is not frivolous, vexatious,
Okay.
and things like that.
Okay.
Now, that for us, we think is a fetter
Right.
on the ease
Okay.
with which the public will.
It's a barrier. It's a
It's
deterrent.
it's a deterrent.
Okay.
It's a
I have
barrier.
a valid case. I've brought it up, and then I'm asked to bring somebody
A
to
statutory,
vouch.
a statutory.
for my
You
case.
must go to the court or commission of oaths
All right.
to get a statutory declaration.
Right.
And because there's a cost associated with that,
Right.
it sometimes it can become.
So what you're telling my
a
listeners is that
barrier.
you're working on removing it, but currently it exists.
It exists.
Well put. Okay. Right.
Then, once we have the statutory declaration, then the complaint is properly before us.
Okay.
That is if the complainant is not a public officer.
Okay.
Now, the second leg is that if our attention or any complaint or misconduct comes to our notice, we can on ourselves undertake investigations.
Follow it up.
And
Right.
where we can establish that there is a prima facie case, then we can get one of our officers to formally
Okay.
bring the complaint before us.
Okay.
So once we have information, we can act on that information,
Right.
and we ourselves will raise the complaint
Right.
from within the agency.
Okay.
So you will find, therefore, that in our investigative processes, it is not always necessary to have a witness.
Okay.
In other words, you can complain to us. Then the normal Ghanaian thing may kick in, and people come through the back door
Okay.
and tell you, because of this and that, everything they think is negotiable. Unfortunately, for medical professional standards, those are non-negotiable.
You can't come and beg.
No, you can't come and
You
beg.
can't
Because
come
when
do
you
anything
come
outside the system.
Yeah, we have had cases where the complainant, after being prevailed upon by all kinds of actors, interest parties,
Wants to withdraw the case.
have actually said they are no longer interested.
Oh wow.
But on the record, remember, we are a committee of fact. And on the record, when we see the patient folder, we see what the doctor is supposed to have done and things like that.
Okay.
And we find that there is serious departure from professional standard of
Then
practice.
the matter becomes your own.
Then it is always our matter.
Right.
Because we act in the public interest.
Right.
And therefore, we will take it up. The only difficulty we will have is that on the basis of the facts we have at this point,
Okay.
do we have sufficient
Right.
evidence
Okay.
to be able to make a case?
All right.
And in most cases, when we are clear that we have sufficient medical facts
Okay.
to say that this standard was far below what is, or your conduct was not in accordance
Okay.
with approved medical practice, or that there was a clear breach of some ethical rule,
Right.
we will go ahead and make a
Okay.
pronouncement.
Great. Right. 23 minutes past the hour of 2. I knew that one would take us into deep water. Yeah? But we're still breathing. We're still learning and growing. This is very important. I got this one from Dede in Maryland. So what is the time frame of the investigation process? Hope it doesn't drag for months and years. I guess that will determine on the case and the
I
fact.
absolutely agree with
Are
you.
you limited by your policy or the law
No.
to determine a case within a certain
No,
time
actually, the law makes it and facilitates a long process. In other words, we are currently not satisfied with the current arrangements.
Okay.
Because we think that the investigative processes must be, expeditious.
Right.
Now, of course, we are also mindful that depending upon the specific nature of the case, some investigations require time
Right.
based upon the resources and the things that you need to
Okay.
do that. But on the whole, there's no lower or upper limit to the time. And
Okay.
we have had instances where, practitioners and their counsels, and on our side, they will come in, and then the matter drags in fact, the longest case I've seen at the council has been one for 6 years.
6 years. Okay.
And justice delayed.
Is justice denied?
They say is justice denied.
Right.
But we also, in the interest of justice, must not be in a hurry
to do anything frivolous.
Because to do something that would not be fair to any of the parties.
Okay.
However, it is our firm belief, and we have made those recommendations in the draft legislative instrument we have, to limit that so that we can have these matters resolved as soon as practicable in the specific instances of each case.
Okay.
So it is hoped that when we are able to do that, most cases will be terminated within a year.
Okay. Great stuff. 25 minutes past your hour, 2 on Joy 99.7 FM. I'm in good company. Dr. Divine Benyubala, a lawyer and ethicist, a philosopher, and a doctor. And he's the registrar of the Medical and Dental Council. They are celebrating 50 years and they are reflecting on what they've been able to do. 50 years. We're reflecting on 50 years of medical regulation. The jurisdiction is vast.
It is.
And that is putting it mildly, right? And many of you may confuse that with regulating the facilities. There's HEFRA, right? The Health Facilities Regulatory Authority.
Agency.
Okay. Agency, sorry. Yeah. They are there, but they do have some tie-ins, and we're looking at these things. We'll come back to that. But so just to tie up on that briefly, those sittings, those 2 steps of investigations and the hearings, and I heard you use the word prosecute and talk about panels and laypersons on the panels. Does that suggest that your processes are the equivalent of legal court prosecution, or like we had with the GFA or the FIFA, that it is with regard to their laws and their statutes, and then if you want to lift it further, is it the equivalent of a court case when you face the penal committee or the disciplinary committee of the MDC?
Okay, so in the current arrangements,
right?
Remember, I said we are a quasi-judicial body.
Okay.
And by the fact that we are an administrative body, by our constitutional arrangements, our actions, policy choices are always subject to the supervisory jurisdiction of the courts.
Okay.
Now, in the current arrangement, we are still, because we don't have the new legislative instrument, we are still relying on the 1972 legislative instrument.
Okay.
Any decision of the disciplinary committee, if the practitioner is or any party is dissatisfied with that, then the party can go to the Court of Appeal.
Okay.
Those are the current arrangements. But in the new draft ones, the consideration is that your court of first instance will be the High Court, which will be will reflect the current constitutional arrangements.
Right. Okay, folks. If you have any questions, concerns, 055 11 11 997.
Just because there's an international audience, to say that for those of us familiar with maybe how the British system runs, they have a complete tribunal.
Okay.
We call the Medical Practitioners Tribunal.
Okay.
Which would then, that is a court of its own. And then there's a judge who sits and then supported by, eminent persons. And both parties will make their case before the tribunal.
Right.
And then the tribunal takes a decision.
Okay.
In that context too, the decision of the tribunal can be challenged at the High Court.
Okay, great stuff. I was giving out WhatsApp number 055 11 11 997. This is Ultimate Health on Joy 99.7 FM with me, Nortey by nature, and I'm with the Registrar of the Medical and Dental Council of Ghana. We're reflecting 50 years of medical regulation. There are lots of issues. We are picking some of them as we thread towards a major conference they're going to be having, I believe, from the 29th. That focuses
29th, 30th, and 31st.
Right. That focuses on
month.
Training. Right.
Training
what goes
and practice.
into the training and practice. Okay. So stay with us. Stick with us. Don't go anywhere. We're very, 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 very keen and intent on, should I say, dissecting this properly. Right. Another issue that comes up is, the same way the legal profession, they are talking about law school and so on and so forth, law school exams. You have released recently, believe, coming into effect launched on the July 4th.
Yes.
A policy regarding Ghanaians who train outside your jurisdiction and then come
Absolutely.
back and seek to register and practice in Ghana.
Yeah.
I've read your document and it says that, well, the numbers of Ghanaians coming back to practice here is increasing or in the ascendancy, but over the years, the MDC has had concern over their challenges and their performance when it comes to their entry and registration evaluation or examination.
That is so.
And you've launched a document and a policy on that. Let's start with the problem. What's the problem with people coming in? We talk about brain drain. So if people are coming in, let them come. What is the real deal? What's the problem statement?
Thank you very much. So the problem statement is that we don't have adequate training opportunities locally.
Okay.
There are many Ghanaian families
Is that just a second, Doc? Is that with regard to the numbers and the capacity?
The numbers
not
and
the
the
quality of what they bring
No,
out?
no, no, no. The
Thank
numbers
you.
and the capacity.
Right. Somebody
In
quotes
fact,
this and say you said we don't have adequate facilities, and they'll think that you're saying that, well, medical school and all those people, they're not churning out the right stuff.
No,
So
when
in
we say
term of the
numbers
Thank
to
you.
take, so when I say we don't have adequate facilities to accommodate higher numbers
Right.
because of the quality issue.
Thank you.
So because of that, accreditation comes with is an upper number that each medical school can train
All right.
based upon the resources, facilities, equipment, and logistics on the ground.
Great stuff. Let me just hit on that. So that means that Ghana Medical School or Family Health Medical School or any other medical school, KNUST, UCC, cannot decide that this year we are taking 600 people.
No, they couldn't.
They can't.
They can't at all. Otherwise,
So
then
you
it
have set
defeats-
a limit to the numbers they can admit.
Yes, internationally.
Wow.
We have specific ratios.
Okay.
Remember, we are training people not to come and toy with people's lives.
Right.
And these are critical considerations
Okay.
across the world. Otherwise, also there's a limit to how many you can train.
Right.
If it was just a matter of only resources and logistics, America could have just trained the number of doctors they needed.
Right.
UK can do that because they are not necessarily
So
constrained.
quality and standards come into play.
They come into play. So they are inseparable.
Right.
So once you do an assessment, a critical consideration is looking at the number of the equipment, infrastructure, logistics,
Right.
looking at the patient loads, all training centers, sites. It's a
Even
very
where they are going to do
detailed.
their clinicals and
Every single component of
Right.
that is examined at the micro level to be able to indicate objectively how many doctors and dentists
Okay.
can safely be trained by this institution.
Right.
And the great part is that it's a peer assessment process.
Okay.
So if we're going to assess University of Ghana Medical School, we're going to bring eminent practitioners and assessors from the other medical schools.
Okay.
So it's not an externally imposed
Right.
consideration.
Okay.
And if you are a medical professional, you just understand that with this, what we have, you cannot train beyond a certain point.
Great stuff. Good point.
Now, so because of the desire for so many Ghanaians, which is a good thing, to have doctors, and we want more of them,
Right.
they send some of these wards who otherwise qualify, but cannot enter.
Did not gain admission
Locally.
Right.
Unfortunately for us, those external centers, some of them actually provide inadequate training to our people.
Okay.
The second problem,
Can I
there is
say
a
that,
multiplicity.
Doc, can I say that bluntly? What you're saying is that, okay, you try to get into med school here, for some reason you didn't make it, and then you go outside or abroad and you study. You, as the registrar of the Medical and Dental Council, is telling us that some of those places that people do get placement and admission and do actually train and qualify as doctors don't meet your standards. And
Actually don't meet
global standards.
any international standard
Right.
to practice as safe practitioners anywhere in the world.
Okay, that's the first point you made.
Right. And
okay,
for
good.
which reason most of them are not actually licensed where they are trained.
Okay, so it means that they finished medicine, but they are not
And they ship
licensed,
them home here.
and they come back.
And they have huge deficits
Wow.
in knowledge in the foundations of medicine.
Right.
What you and I know as the basic and paraclinical sciences.
Right.
And when it comes to the clinicals, a lot of them have not even had patient exposure.
Wow.
So this.
So hang on a sec, Doc. So these people, from these challenged or questionable institutions, they come with a title of physician.
Yes.
And you are saying that when you expose them, let me use that word, to our accreditation, examination, and entry requirements, they are found wanting.
That is so.
Right.
And we also, in fact, we undertook a number of steps when we were beginning to get worried. Mm-hmm. The first one was to do a desktop review to get anecdotal evidence to look at what was happening. Then the second point was to follow up and go to those destinations and actually examine the training environment.
Okay.
In fact, I must say that the Parliamentary Select Committee on Health has been a worthy representative of the people of Ghana.
Wow.
And they have shown tremendous interest in these matters. And so we were able to do this investigations.
You actually go to these places?
Oh, yeah, jointly with the Parliamentary Select Committee.
Right.
And then it was the basis of the findings that led to the policy on the training of medical and dental international graduates.
Okay, let me come in, Doc. So you didn't get up on a whim or decide to be biased or pig-headed as Ghana, but you actually conducted investigations, right?
Yes, absolutely.
On the global level to global standards. And indeed,
absolutely. Your
council is part of the global...
Yes, the International Association of Medical Regulatory Authorities.
Right.
And also the African Medical Association of Medical Councils of Africa.
So you are required to do this.
We are required to do that.
You can't just sit there, say, well, when they come, we have an exam anyway.
And to indicate that is not, in fact, when we shared our findings and experiences, I remember in 2019 in Cape Town, in South Africa, with our African colleagues.
Okay.
We realized that there were similar concerns and problems across the continent as far back as India.
Okay.
And therefore, we needed to do something about it.
Okay.
The other thing we found, which may be of interest, is that persons who will otherwise not have even made it into a tertiary school here at all, come and then they have a medical degree from these foreign institutions. And I'll give you a typical example. There's nothing wrong with somebody who has done history or sociology or literature in English to do medicine, as long as they have the pre-med to give them science,
the foundation. Right.
But we noticed that people had just done, technical studies and drawing, carpentry, things like that. They got one typical example was the best grade was actually D7. The rest were 2 E's and everything else was F.
Okay.
And the person has gone and come back as a doctor.
Right.
We have persons with literature in English background, people with visual arts. They go no pre-med and then they train. They come back. They don't have the foundation.
They lack the basics.
They lack any modicum of understanding in basic sciences, paraclinical sciences, that which would then translate it to disease causation, the pathogenesis of this before you translate into what symptoms are, what signs are, and then to get into the proper clinical practice. So they can't connect the two. And they take the exam several times. They are not successful. The frustrations are then translated onto us as a people. And then you may find people complaining that it is the council that is making it difficult
for foreign trained Ghanaians
to return.
Okay.
But as we said, we are blind to whether you are foreign or local.
Right.
And it is the reason why we have set out as a clear policy agenda to have a common licensing exam by 2025.
Right. For everybody.
For everybody.
Right.
Because that is the current international pathway of best practice globally.
Okay.
And the British are moving on next year to a common licensing exam.
Okay.
So whether you came from Cambridge or Oxford or Manchester, Edinburgh, you write the same exam.
Okay, great stuff. Doc, let me try and summarize and make sure we are connected to our listeners. It's 39 minutes past the hour of 2 on Joy 99.7 FM. The program, as always, on a Sunday afternoon is Ultimate Health, your ultimate guide to healthy living. We're reflecting on 50 years of medical regulation. If you're sitting out there and you're training somewhere, last time we had Doc in the studio, he said that if your place or institution of training is not registered and duly recognized by the MDC here, you already have a challenge.
Absolutely.
You cannot come here and seek to register. All right. They keep a register. I remember also from the last time he was here before he had to travel that, hey, if you get in trouble in Ghana and the MDC here penalizes you, it is immediately put on the international landscape.
Yes,
Any
exchange
other
of
school,
practitioner information.
Exchange of practitioner information. So you go to Glasgow or somewhere, they already have that filler on you. So we're talking serious business and we're doing serious reflections on the 50 years. And there are several policy documents they put out to tighten up the space. If you go to their site, www.mdcghana.org, you get to see some of these things, all right? It's not my information, and I don't have monopoly over the information. I've got a question here. Our phone lines are active. 0302-216-541. 0302-216-541. If you have any questions and issues, we're reflecting on 50 years of medical regulation with the Medical and Dental Council. Their registrar is here and available to you. Good afternoon to the Medical and Dental Association. We're dealing with the council. You're talking about the association. And well done, Mr. Host and Doc. Please, I have been observing something in the various markets. There are people who sell medicines in the markets, and almost all of them don't know how to educate people on how to take medicines, right? I think you're looking at the Pharmacy Council and FDA. These people, how can we deal with such people in various markets, because illegal drugs are in the system, or their sellers and peddlers are in the system? This is from Abochi Philip in Keta, youth organizer, hopeful.
Oh, that is great. Our friend Philip Abochi, thank you very much for your observation. And I will urge you to, make those observations to our colleagues at the Food and Drugs Authority. I know my sister Delise Idako is doing a fantastic job for us, continental level and globally.
Yeah.
But one of the things I keep saying is that regulation in general is a collective responsibility.
Right.
And therefore, we relied on people like Philip to give us this information based upon which we can act.
Right, great. Dede says, during the investigations, does the committee reach out to other patients of the same doctors to inquire if any one of them have experienced such conducts by the complainant? Now, Dede, before I pass this on, I know the complaint is specific. You're asking if I'll go and ask other people. So if they had a great experience, does that compromise your case, or vice versa? Depending on the severity of the complaint, is the doctor required to proceed on leave till the investigation is over? This is from Dede in Maryland.
Excellent, Dede. I think is one of the things that the new act gives us, but we require some amendments.
Okay.
What she raises is at the heart of medical and dental professional regulatory best practice.
Okay.
What we call power of interim orders.
Okay.
So that if there's a complaint about a doctor's fitness to practice,
right,
God forbid, if I were to just start running naked with a cutlass and I'm a surgeon or any doctor at all,
right,
you will want the power to be able to immediately suspend the license, right, even before you go to investigate the matter, because this is a serious, urgent matter that requires immediacy of action.
Right.
That is not very clear in our current act.
Okay.
The current act only presupposes that investigation is made of your conduct. Then you need to go through the investigative processes. But it allows us to suspend your license subject to giving you 30 days notice.
All right.
Obviously, while that is a good provision,
you have to give the person, the practitioner, 30 days notice before you suspend.
Exactly.
Okay.
But once we say one of the rules are that the lawmaker can never make a mistake.
Okay.
So it's just that maybe we do not reflect the full intendment of a public interest regulator, especially in the medical sense.
Right.
So part of the suggested amendments we have put before our ministry, and we hope that will be moved to Parliament soon, is to deal with this matter, to make sure that there are clear
so you are
powers.
tightening it and making it clear.
Exactly.
So you have the power as an MDC or a council to go to the court and seek this.
No, we'll just automatically just.
Oh, you want the power remains with you directly.
Yes. So you just automatically suspend the license immediately, because we have had instances where we have had doctors with fitness to practice concerns.
Right.
And we have to suspend their licenses immediately.
Okay. Great listeners, if you don't know, I've listened to a presentation to our medical students on fitness to practice delivered by Dr. Benyubala, and whoa, we will do a program totally.
Oh, that would really be important.
On fitness to practice.
Yeah.
What makes you unfit to practice? It's amazing. It's awesome. And I've got the right person. So, Dede, I hope we've answered your questions. My phone lines are activated 0302-216-541. Ultimate Health on Joy 99.7 FM. We're looking at regulating the practice of doctors and dentists in this country as spelled out in our laws. And we have the Registrar of the Medical and Dental Council with us in the studio. We are interested in training. We are interested in practice. We are interested in definition of specialization. What makes you a specialist? We talked about those ones last time, and we talked about how they brought in and clarified the role and the designation of a physician assistant and so on and so forth, right? We're doing all this so that you join us as stakeholders in the reflection on 50 years of medical regulation. You have any questions, concerns? WhatsApp is still active, 055 11 11 997. Right. So we're looking at some of these things, and we're looking at some of the other things that they've been doing. For example, Doc, we'll come back to what we're talking about. I know now you also have a policy which says every doctor must have an identifying registration number, must have a name tag and a stamp.
Absolutely.
Right. I'll come to that. Let me just take this caller. Hello. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Nortey.
Hi, who am I speaking to?
I'm calling from Domi.
Okay, you are duly you are duly registered. Please go ahead.
I want to ask doctor, what about those doctors nowadays? You see, body enhancement, whatever. Do they also fall under them? And what are their supervision concerning those doctors?
Okay, you want to know before you get yourself enhanced, eh?
No, I'm not interested in that.
But great question, eh? All those
much.
people who do funky things, from penis enlargement to boob jobs to butt jobs to all sorts of things. Some of them say they are cosmetic surgeons and other hundious titles. Where do they fall?
Okay, so where they fall depends upon whether they are trained in the professional respect or they are just plain quacks who are doing illicit things,
right,
and trying to profit at the expense of the misery of others. Now the first point is that we discussed this in part the last time, and that is relative also to the issue that one of the complainants raised about the practitioner Dr. Obinfu's facility. That matter, as far as we're concerned, has been dealt with. We have provided all the relevant notices. First, to be a cosmetic surgeon within our arrangement, you must first be a surgeon. We explained that after 6 years of medical school, you do currently, as is being run, you do 2 additional years. Or if you went through the GEMP or graduate entry medical program, you do 4 years. And then after that, you do 2 years of house job. After that, you sit an entrance exam. If you are successful, they invite you for interview, and those that are shortlisted would then get to go into the training program.
To be a surgeon.
To become a surgeon. So you then undertake the first 3 to 4 years where you have to pass an exit exam at the level of the first stage of specialization, which we call member level. Then after
at that
the membership,
stage, you are not a specialist.
No, you are a specialist, but of a lower
rank.
Then after that, you need to go and do at least 2 years of additional sub-specialization work to become a plastic and reconstructive surgeon.
Okay.
Then you can then choose to specialize. So it's burns, if you notice,
Yeah.
it's burns, a plastics and reconstructive.
Okay.
That presupposes that if you have some disease condition which has the opportunity, which may disfigure you,
Yeah.
these people may be able to assist to make it
Right.
look better.
Okay.
There are others who would then decide that because of the interest in providing, some enhancements
Right.
purely for cosmetic
Cosmetic
reasons, not
and
because there's
aesthetic.
an underlying
Right.
disease condition. Those are them.
They are not treating a disease
no
or a disorder. Okay.
properly so called.
So that is something the person desires.
Yeah, just for the
Okay.
aesthetics.
Right.
So they call them cosmetic surgeons.
Right.
So it should have been a plastic and reconstructive surgeon
First,
first.
as a foundation.
As foundation before. So if you are not a surgeon, you couldn't be a cosmetic surgeon.
Okay.
Because it's a specialty.
So, Doc, let me hit on this. So that
of
means
surgery.
that because you are doing it for aesthetic or cosmetic reasons, you should still have the professional qualification
Absolutely.
to know what can go wrong with what you are doing.
So that is the basic requirement. You first must have been a surgeon.
Right.
In other words, you have to be a specialist in
Okay.
this area of surgery called plastic and reconstructive
You
surgery.
can't just be touching and
No, you
messing
cannot
with people's
just be as a general
bodies.
practitioner and straight away.
You can't have gone to, let's say, forgive me, no prejudice, Taiwan, China, Uganda, anywhere, and said, I did 6 weeks of this. And
Yeah,
then
no,
after
you
that,
couldn't do that. Or
then-
one day of this, or 2-3 days.
cannot.
Of course. No. Because
Anywhere
that
in
is
the
not a
in the
professional
world.
thing. Anywhere in the world.
You can't do that.
No,
Okay.
because being a plastic and reconstructive surgeon is, like I said, a minimum of 5 years post.
Okay. All right. Let
Medical qualification.
We're running out of time, but I know we have you next week. But let's quickly say, so if somebody is found by your counsel to have held themselves out as something they are not, in this case, we're
Yeah.
talking about a surgeon.
Yes.
Right? Specialized in cosmetic surgery.
Absolutely.
And they are found to have done such and have gone further to perform and offer services in
Yes.
the same vein, that is a crime.
That is actually a crime under our law,
Okay.
Act 857,
Right.
the Health Professions Regulatory Bodies Act of 2013,
Okay.
Act 857.
Right.
And in fact, it was the basis upon which our regulatory action in respect of this practitioner and others
Okay.
took place. And I can indicate to you that only Thursday, late in the evening, we arrested another practitioner who has not passed our registration examination.
Okay.
And the premises not even registered with HIFRA,
Okay.
but who was undertaking medical treatment when he had no qualification,
Right.
and valid registration.
When you
So
say
to
you
do-
are arrested, that's what with the police.
with the assistance of the police,
With the assistance of the police.
with the assistance, and the prosecution is by the Attorney General with
Okay.
his delegated power
Okay.
to the Ghana Police Service.
Great
So
stuff.
they are the ones who do the
Right.
prosecution, but we are
Okay.
just interested parties and witnesses.
Okay, so we're serious in our country about these regulations. Of course, there are challenges that we will reflect on as well. Hello, greetings, Ultimate Health Team. Please, who is in charge of the sale of second-hand spectacles by the roadside instead of getting the visual aids at reputable medical facility? Thank you and God bless you. Pa Solo in Sunyani, shine your eye. I'll take a look at that. There was a time we had to look at that for
Yes.
some reason, right? But thanks for bringing or drawing our attention to that. We have about 8 minutes left. Who's sending me audio? Well, anyway, so these stamps, Doc, that
Yes.
have numbers and identifications for specific registered practitioners. I'm emphasizing all those parts.
That's important.
You've introduced that now. So when a
Yes.
doctor writes a prescription or anything, they should have a stamp that is issued by your counsel?
Absolutely, we prescribe
Right.
the requirements to be on the stamp. But the
okay.
stamp will be issued in the case of practitioners who are practicing in a facility by the facility.
Right. You have a unique identifying stamp.
Exactly.
All right.
Self-inking that will trace every medical record to you for
Okay.
a number of reasons. First, as part of issues of enhancing quality of care, patient choice of appropriate practitioner.
Okay.
Because it's important not to confuse a physician assistant with a medical doctor.
Okay.
Or confuse a doctor who in laboratory health sciences with a medical doctor.
Okay.
Those things are very important. And we think we have a professional responsibility with the proliferation of title doctor in the healthcare setting to provide that additional quality assurance measure to members of the public who may not necessarily know the differences between these cadres. Also, to ensure that as part of the quality assurance measures, we can trace a lab request, any investigation, an excuse duty, or a medical report to an identified practitioner. So that if there are issues of concern, we can then take the matter up from a professional regulatory perspective.
So the practitioner duly registered is required at all times to use these identification tags, the numbers, and everything.
Yeah, because most of our if you check from the complaints we get, people go and then they are not able to identify the practitioner because the practitioner was not wearing an identity tag.
And now that is compulsory.
And also it's in compliance.
Right.
With the patient's charter, which is now law. Under section 167, as attached in schedule 6.
So
of the Public Health Act of 2012, Act 851, which requires that patients have a right to know the identity of their caregiver.
It's not you see me, I no see you.
No, not at all.
It was there, and you strengthened it in this new policy.
Absolutely, to reflect that the rights of patients.
Effective
in that respect.
July 4th.
Effective July 4th.
So doctors should have their name tags.
Name tags.
They should use a stamp.
Self-inking stamp.
Right, which has a unique number for them.
Yeah, and they should wear the appropriate professional apparel.
What is
at
that?
all times.
What are they supposed to wear?
So, for example, if you were doing bench work, you may be required to wear a white coat. With your name tag and then your MDC registration number and a clear description as doctor or physician assistant or a dentist.
Required, non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable. If you were in theater, what will constitute appropriate professional apparel would slightly be different from a white coat. It may be the scraps that you wear. Some other hospitals provide different colors of scraps to assist patients to be able to tell the difference between a nurse, a doctor, and a support officer in the hospital.
So are these uniforms color coded? Should a doctor be wearing a particular color different from another?
No, we haven't designed. But what we say is that you need to be professionally attired at all times within the care environment.
Professionally attired and identifiable.
Very, very important.
With a unique tag. Visible
tag. With your registration number.
Visible and accessible, not hidden in your pocket.
No, not at all.
Right. Wow, that sounds tough and tight, but that's what we are looking for. So, folks, as I said, the Medical and Dental Council is celebrating 50 years. Serious anniversary, and they are reflecting and they are opening themselves up to scrutiny, dissection, and that's what we've been doing with Dr. Divine Benyubala, the registrar, a very serious registrar. But let me ask this. You also have something coming up. We'll look at that when we look at training and what goes into training. But you're going to have a big conference from the 29th.
Yeah, 29th to the 31st of August this year. And we are happy to indicate that His Excellency the Vice President has kindly agreed to open the conference for us. We have our counterparts from the Association of Medical Councils of Africa, represented by the current president. From South Africa, we have our Kenyan counterparts coming.
So it's an international
conference. We have our Nigerian counterparts, the Gambian. We have our diasporan faculty. You recall that the last time we met, I told you that we have signed a memorandum of understanding with the Ghana Physicians and Surgeons Foundation of North America. And they are keen on coming. Their president will be coming and speaking at the conference. Then we are having our host minister, who is the Minister of Health, being there. We have the Minister of Education. That is important because medical education,
training,
and training transcends the ministries of education and the ministries of health. And at the time where we are reflecting, we want to bring all the critical stakeholders together to see what we can do examine the current challenges that we have in medical and dental training and practice in Ghana, and see what actionable, solutions can be proffered to guide future training. And one of the key critical areas that is emerging, and that is why nobody should miss this for anything, is that we are thinking creatively about decentralizing and deconcentrating the teaching hospitals, so that we decentralize medical training to the regional hospitals and appropriate municipal and district hospitals. So we can take in more people without necessarily compromising the quality of the training, and therefore we will then reduce the pressure on people to go outside and get less than an ideal, or rather put bluntly, unsafe medical training. So those are the conversations we are inviting all the critical stakeholders together. And we are happy to listen to you. We are pausing to reflect on the feedback we will get from you as our valued stakeholders. And let us work together to find a Ghanaian solution to make a time-tested Ghanaian product, which is the medical and quality of the training of medical and dental doctors in Ghana, has been approved globally as one of the best. in the world.
And you still seek to improve it.
And let us seek to improve it, but also expand the numbers to reflect the current challenges, both specialist and undergraduate training.
Great stuff. You've just been listening to the Registrar of the Medical and Dental Council, Dr. Divine Benyubala. Big issues to be discussed, a lot of reflection, and we'll be bringing a lot of that to you on Ultimate Health. Today we've taken a stab at, we haven't done medical practice. We haven't done fitness to practice. We haven't done those things.
We'll go into that hopefully next week.
We'll set into those things so that you understand. And then you can look at what you have experienced in the system and give us valid feedback, critical, non-negotiable stakeholder feedback. That's what we're looking for. Once again, Dr. Benyubala, thank you so much. And he has so many documents. We haven't even
we haven't even touched much them at all. We are grateful to you, and let's say that we thank our valued partners. For making this happen. WHO, Farm Access, we have Focus Group, we have Family Health Medical School, we have Accra College of Medicine, we have Tobinco Pharmaceuticals, we have Roche, Ghana Products Limited. They're doing a fantastic job, and they are doing a lot of work in the healthcare space and things like that, and so many other sponsors in the system. And we have the Entrance University College of Health Sciences as well, and we will dutifully reflect all the valued partners that we have. And we thank you also as a media partner in this exercise. And we are grateful for all the support you have given us.
Thank you so much.
So God willing, next week we'll be here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Benyubala. Many thanks to my discerning listeners and my producer, Abeku Sankofis. They can stay on Joy 99.7 FM. Don't go away.